Sports have long been an important and defining part of our history. With their impact and influence, key moments in sports have helped shape, heal, and inspire.
It has been said that I have two alternatives: either go to jail or go to the army. But I would like to say that there is another alternative. That alternative is justice.
I'm Doc Rivers, and I'm proud to present a new podcast documentary series called It Was Said Sports, where I guide you through 6 of the most impactful and timeless speeches in sports history.
The question has already been answered. Should we be here? Yes.
Listen and follow It Was Said Sports, a documentary podcast presentation of Shining City Audio, a C13 Originals, and John Meacham Studio. Available now wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Welcome once again to the GM Shuffle. Tua Tagovailoa hurt once again. What a surprise. Carson Wentz hurt once again as the Colts fall flat against the Rams, and other news involving the NFL, including a big comeback of the Tennessee Titans. But of course, we begin with the Chiefs and the Ravens. So often, Mike, we're used to disappointment. We're used to frustration, letdowns. This one exceeds the hype. There's something special about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens against the Chiefs. They play their best against the best, and they pull out a tremendous 36-35 win. Lamar's numbers, okay, it's misleading. 18-26, 239, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, but 107 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns with his legs. What a remarkable game.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect example of a game where a team was in the lead, but they never got control of the game. And I think it's the only way you have a chance to beat the Chiefs is what the Ravens did last night. Yeah, I know Mahomes threw for 343, but dare them to run the ball. They only gave Hilaire the ball 13 times. He fumbled 1 time. Their biggest play was on a run was Tyreek Hill's reverse for 15 yards. Dare them to run the ball. Don't let Tyreek Hill make any plays down the field. Tyreek Hill ends up 3 catches for 14 yards. 3 catches for 14. So you eliminated the run. You washed the run out. You basically just try to manage Kelsey as best you can. He has 7 catches for 109. Hardeman, Robinson, Pringle. None of those guys are going to really beat you consistently. They might get a score on you. But the Ravens defense give up 28. They did a nice job of rushing 3, then bringing a late rusher to kind of control Mahomes in the pocket so he didn't really just get out in the perimeter and have the ability just to launch a pass down the field. And then I think this is an example of a game as fans we should always understand. And I've talked about this before. The first quarter is all about figuring out the game plan, right? The first quarter is about, did we practice the right things? Is this the way the game plan is going to go? Do we need to modify anything? Do we need to change? Is this going to be a screen game, draw game? How do we want to play the game? For the Chiefs, they would have said, hey, look, Martindale's not Martindale today. Martindale's going to play zone. He's going to back off. He's going to keep the ball in front. He's not Don Martindale. He's not going to blitz. So they had to adjust second and third quarter. So the second part of the game is the second and the third quarter, right? This is what's going to happen. We adjusted. The fourth quarter is a standalone game. That's a standalone game. And that's where the Chiefs lost the game. They give up. They don't score in the fourth quarter. They only convert 1 third down in the third quarter. They only get 1 first down in the third quarter. And so they lose the game. They get 35 points in 3 quarters. They only have the ball 24 minutes. They get 35 points in 3 quarters. And then when the fourth quarter, when they have to make a play, they get 3 first downs, 3 first downs total, and only convert 1 third down and turn the ball over. They lose.
And I love the gutsiness. I love, like in pro sports, whenever gutsiness is rewarded. The Ravens, first down to seal the game. It's 4th and 1, deep in their own territory. You see Harbaugh say to Jackson, you want to go for it? Yeah, let's go for it. They get the first down and the game is over, which I always like to see. And listen, the Ravens have had injuries. They've overcome them. They're tough-minded. They have a great coach. My concern for the Chiefs, I don't want to make too much, Mike, of one play, but that Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble, first time in his career, but kind of what you're saying, if you can't get tough yardage, if you can't get first downs when you need to, that's a concern to me. Like coming into this game, Mahomes was 11-0 in September in his career, 35 touchdowns and 0 picks, but they're not a ground and pound kind of team. And that worries me sometimes.
Yeah, I think this is the only way. The Chiefs now have And look, the Chiefs have been a thorn in Better's side for a while, right? I mean, I think they've covered 2 of the last 13 games. I mean, this is a game they should have easily covered. But what happens is when the Chiefs' defense, AD, is simply built on this principle. We are going to create a negative play. We're completely unsound. We're going to take a zillion chances. We're never going to get balanced on defense. We're never going to sit there and say, okay, we're going to be fundamentally sound. We're going to create a negative play, get you in 2nd and 18, and then make you punt. That's the Chiefs' principles. So when people are screaming today, can the Chiefs win with that defense? That defense has always been like that. That defense has always been. It's when they create the negative plays and they get you in down behind is when they come up. All they're looking for is one play a series. One play. One negative play. And they're so unsound when they do it, they don't really care. And they get away with it because their offense carries them. If they don't, they get away with it. When their offense doesn't score in the fourth quarter, they can't get away with it. And so I agree with you. I think, look, Harbaugh, I think there was a strong contingency in Baltimore when they had the ball against the Raiders, and that was 4th and 2 before they settled for the field goal. I think a lot of people on the bench wanted to go for it there. And I think Harbaugh just decided that the next time I get in that situation, I'm going for it. And that's what he did.
So that's the story when it comes to the Chiefs and the Ravens. 2 close games for the Chiefs so far. Harbaugh and the Ravens rewarded with their gutsiness as they outlast Kansas City. Elsewhere, this was a genuine surprise. The Seahawks, who we talked about, looked good in week 1, particularly their efficiency with throwing the ball. Well, this was really undisciplined play. 10 penalties for 100 yards. And Derrick Henry is who the Titans relied on. 35 carries, 182 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It's not often you can say the Seattle Seahawks, with a great coach in Pete Carroll, have a 30-16 lead in the fourth quarter. But they gave up 17 unanswered, a healthy dose of Derrick Henry. It was impressive, Mike, how overwhelming he was against that Seahawks run defense.
Well, I mean, considering last week against Arizona, Tennessee's execution was atrocious, right? Well, this week their execution, they had 40 rushing attempts, and they had 27 completions. That's 67 rushes and completions. I think your execution's much better. And, Seattle all last year did a good job defending the run. But in this game, when they got Henry going, I mean, they got 532 yards. And AD, I don't know if you saw it. This game should have been over in overtime. I mean, the Russell Wilson, if that's not a safety, I don't know what the hell is. I have no idea. But this game is, again, another example of if you don't score in the fourth, if you don't pay attention to that fourth quarter, if you don't get going in the fourth and you settle for field goals in the fourth, or, they scored on us. They scored right at the beginning of the fourth quarter, Seattle, to go up 30-16. They missed the extra point, ultimately, which cost them. That extra point they missed, it should be 31. And then, it doesn't, Tennessee doesn't have to go for 2. They can just keep kicking. That extra point really hurt them. And so when you don't keep scoring in the fourth, you can't play good enough defense. And I think ultimately that's the question. I think that's really what happens. I don't know how, Seattle, I think they're 53-0 at halftime with a double-digit lead and playing at that stadium. And yet they come out and they can't get it done. And you're looking around saying, like, what happened? And, Bullock misses field goals. I mean, he missed a 44-yarder wide right. But one thing is, I think, with Vrabel, I think one thing Vrabel understood is he needed to get his team back. He controlled the football. They had the ball. I mean, I know it's an overtime game. They had the ball 42 minutes and 33 seconds. I mean, Russ, you can't cook with Russ if he's not cooking, if he's not in the kitchen.
And for Seattle, like you said, we talked about last week on the shuffle, hey, 12th man. The fact that they lose at home, first time in 630 days. I mean, this is the first time they're at home finally. Huge lead, so many penalties. And yet for the Titans, I'll say this. Hey, hell of a win. Credit to Mike Vrabel, Julio Jones, Ryan Tannehill worked out the kinks. 6 receptions, 128 yards. But their defense gave up 3 plays of 50 or more yards. This is going to be the story all year long unless Tennessee can fix their D.
Yeah, I don't see how they fix it. I don't see how they fix it. I really don't. I mean, they can't really rush the passer. They're not great at rushing the passer. Whether they can get, Bud Dupree to come back and rush like he's capable of. I mean, he was active in the game, but I'm not sure he's the same player that he was last year. It's going to take him some time. He's not healthy, but they can't really put pressure on. They don't stop the run. I mean, this is one Seattle's going to look back on. It's September. I mean, it's September. It's early, but they're going to look back on this one and say, holy shit. And I'm going to tell you one more thing, AD. I mean, Tennessee left yards on the field. A.J. Brown didn't catch at least 3 passes I've seen him catch before. I mean, Julio's touchdown, it got overturned. Did you see that play? Like, I thought that was a touchdown all the way. Like, I don't know how they called it a touchdown on the field. I don't know what they saw to turn it.
I did see that, and I was surprised. You're right, because my whole thing, as you said, it's going to be conclusive. And like whenever there's a play that could go either way, I'm like, well, let's go with what the ruling was in the field. They'll stay with that. But to your point, they called it a touchdown. So I'm like, well, where's the evidence that you overturned it? I was surprised.
I never saw it. I mean, and then the safety in the end zone. I mean, I never saw. I mean, like, how did they not call that? I mean, I have no idea. I mean, John Hussey's sitting right there. I mean, and then they wouldn't review it. Like, how do you not review that? Well, we can't review that. What do you mean you can't review it? We're in overtime. You should take the game over.
Just disappointing all the way around, especially if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan. And as far as starting quarterbacks were concerned, already getting their asses kicked, and it's September. Andy Dalton facing his former team, he gets the win. Bears barely beat the Bengals 20-17, but Dalton was 9 of 11, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. He's out with a knee injury. Now, apparently, Matt Nagy is saying he doesn't believe the injury is serious, but maybe it's Justin Fields' time. 6 of 13, 60 yards. He did throw an interception. Bears defense still really shut down Burrow and the Bengals. Again, the Bengals, we don't expect much of them, although Burrow obviously is a quarterback with lots of promise, did throw 3 interceptions. But as you and I predicted, Mike, sooner rather than later, it's going to be Justin Fields' team. And who knows, maybe by week 3, it's already Justin Fields' team if Andy Dalton can't go.
Well, I mean, I had a saying when I worked at the Raiders, we're just a couple injuries away from having a good team. And maybe the Bears are an injury away from having it. Look, I don't know. I mean, Justin Fields was not very good throwing the football in there. And, you know, and I heard the rhetoric coming out of Chicago that he's been sensational in practice. He's had wow plays in practice. I mean, look, he's going to run the ball. There's no doubt. He had 10 carries for 31 yards in the game. His ability to make loose plays is fairly impressive. But, you know, I think Andy Dalton, once again, he's Mr. Completion. You know, he's going to keep trying to complete the ball down the field. He did a good job through the first touchdown pass. The Bears need to play better on defense. And this is a game that what I thought the Bears did. They held the Bengals to under 250 yards. But the Bengals, with my man Zach Taylor, at some point, when are you going to protect Burrow? Guy got sacked 4 times again yesterday. Like, he got sacked, he got hit. I mean, you're supposed to be the guru of offense, and the quarterback's getting the shit kicked out of him. You know, how are you going to win games like that? Like, okay, you know, you think you have an offensive line that can block anybody? It's really comical. Look, Chicago's got an easy decision. Just play Fields, get Dalton healthy, and wait and see what happens. But now's your chance, right? Now's your opportunity. You got to get the guy on the field. All these young quarterbacks, with the exception of Mac Jones, all of them have struggled.
Just proves just how hard it is to hit the ground running, especially as a young quarterback. We'll talk about more quarterbacks hit with injuries on Sunday, plus break down what it could mean for each team, and not many records that Tom Brady hasn't broken, but he's one step closer to another. We'll tell you about that next in the GM Shuffle.
If you've ever been behind the wheel of a high-performance sports car and you realize how much better a car can be, you never want to settle for regular again. I feel exactly the same way about my X-Chair. From the moment I first sat down in it, from the moment Pat Nolan sat down in it, or any guest that comes over, Bill Berman can't wait to sit in it every single time. I understand why many consider X-Chair to be the finest office chair in the world.
Here's the part of it, Mike, that's amazing. Think about it. Can your current office chair give you a massage while you're working? My X-Chair can. Okay, can your current office chair heat up or cool down? Our X-Chair can. It's on the Elemax massage and temperature regulation, exclusively designed and made for X-Chair. That, to me, is a difference maker. The massage and the temperature.
You know, I think what X-Chair needs to do is they need to take a picture of people's faces when they sit in the X-Chair. Because when I sit Pat in it, and his first reaction, or Bill, their first reaction is remarkable, because once you feel the customized support of X-Chair's patented dynamic variable lumbar, or DVL, your back will never be happy in any other chair again. Take my advice, take Berman's advice, take Nolan's advice. Try X-Chair for yourself, risk-free for 30 days. Once you realize how much better your chair should be, you'll never go back again. I promise.
We promise you, so go to xchairgm.com now. That's the letter xchairgm.com for $100 off your order. X-Chair has a 30-day guarantee of complete comfort. xchairgm.com. Well, the Indianapolis Colts hung tough against the Rams. I was impressed. I thought the Rams would win. They did, but it was a close game. 27-24. Cooper Kupp was terrific. 9 catches, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Stafford goes 19 of 30 for 278 and 2 scores. But Carson Wentz, unfortunately, hurt once again. Left in the fourth with an apparent ankle injury. Trying to scramble, gets taken down by Aaron Donald, gets twisted badly. He said afterwards, I've sprained my ankle probably 100 times since I was a kid. This one I just couldn't play on. So his injury history, a quick recap. 2016, fractured rib. 2017, torn ACL. 2018, fractured back vertebrae. And last year, concussion. This preseason, a foot injury. Mike, here we go again. The song remains the same.
Yeah, I mean, I defended Wentz here in Philadelphia. I really did. I thought the 17 season left me really feeling like he was a good player. But I've watched these 2 Colt games closely, and he does some really dumb things. For a smart guy, he plays dumb, and he costs his team some chances. I mean, trying to make a play when he can't make a play, not taking the profits when he can take the profits. I mean, I don't, I'm at the point with Wentz where I'm about ready to pull the pin on the guy. I really am. The guy gets hurt all the time. He's not reliable. He's not dependable. I mean, I think dependability in terms of his injury history and his play on the field, he's just not dependable. And, he gets himself hurt in that game. Look, if it isn't for the horrendous snap on the punt, this game shouldn't have been as close as it was. I put out there, I had Indianapolis on one of my plays on Twitter on Sunday morning, and it's fortunate that we got 3.5 and it won for the people that bet it. But, I watching this Colt team and I just don't feel it with Wentz. I feel like he's undependable. He kind of locks in on guys. And Reich, for some reason, Reich has decided that he doesn't like 3 points. Like, he just doesn't like 3 points. And he keeps going for it down in the red. He's 1 for 4 again in the red zone here. 1 for 4. He's 1 for 3 on goal to go. He's got a team with a good running back. He's supposed to have a good team. And he's 1 for 3 in goal to go. And he's 1 for 4. And he keeps going for it on 4th down. And he's, once again, he's 0 for 1 on 4th down. It was Buffalo game last year. It's amazing we've now gone into the league in the NFL where we're no longer second guessing coaches for going for it on 4th down. We embrace it, and it's okay. And when it doesn't work, it's okay. It's fine. What's wrong with 3 points? What's wrong with it? You're sitting there, it's going to be a field goal game. Why not take them?
Yeah. These coaches, I guess they're just aggressive. Maybe they look at certain numbers, analytics, say if you're rewarded by going for it on 4th down, but it is frustrating if you're leaving points out there.
Well, I think this, AD, here's what I think. I think this analytics is you have to tie the game into the analytics. I was talking to a coach that interviewed with the Eagles, and the Eagles, believe strongly in analytics. And they were out there saying, well, you've got to be able, the best formation to throw the football out of is 11 personnel, and you should be in 11 all the time because, timeout. If I'm in 11 and I got a shitty right tackle and I got TJ Watt over there, am I going to be able to throw the ball out of 11? If I got Villanueva over at right tackle against Max Crosby, can I throw it out of 11? I think analytics, I don't dismiss analytics. I'm not an analytical nerd. I don't dismiss it. But I think you have to look at it. Let's just take Frank Wright's situation. He's putting the burden on the quarterback to make a play. He's got 4th and 1, opening drive of the game. He takes the ball all the way down. He's got a 3rd and 1 from his own 1. He's got 1st and goal from the 1. Okay? He's got 2nd and goal from the 1. Taylor up the middle. Taylor up the middle. Taylor up the middle. Now we're 4th and goal. And he decides to throw it and he gets sacked. You had 3 runs. You had 3 runs. You had 2 runs that gained nothing and you couldn't get it in. And now you're on 4th and 1, you're down there. You had this beautiful opening drive. And then what happens? You give the ball back to them. And you say, well, they're in bad field position. They can't do anything with it. Oh no, they went fucking 90 yards in 4 minutes and 55 seconds. They scored. Now you're down again. At some point you got to feel the game, right? Don't you have to feel the flow of the game and see how it's going? And I just think, to me, sometimes these coaches, they make these decisions and they make them just strictly on, I'm going to go for it no matter what.
Yeah, context matters no matter what. And back to Wentz, I'm a little surprised, Mike, you've seen enough because you and I both said, listen, I think he'll bounce back with the Colts. If he ever has a chance of success, this is who it is with because Frank Reich and him have a relationship. But if you've seen enough that you don't think he can get back to being, forget about an elite quarterback, but a good starting quarterback, you've seen enough now.
Yeah, I mean, what bothers me is when is he going to stop making dumb plays? Like, okay, let's take Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold in 2 games has done a really good job. And he made a dumb play yesterday. He was old Sam Darnold on a play. But for the most part, Matt Rule and Joe Brady and the offensive staff of Carolina have done a good job of eliminating the bad plays. And when's this going to happen with Wentz? Like, when is he going to not, he's trying to flick the ball away, like do something. It's like Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes gives him an interception on just a stupid play. Like, stop trying to be a video player. Just take the loss. Sometimes I think you can outcoach them and you end up chasing it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll pick up the phone and call Cam Newton if the injury is serious right now for the Colts, because with Wentz, you can never be too safe. His backup used to be Jacoby Brissett. Speaking of the Dolphins, another injury-prone quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa takes a hit to the ribs, had to be carted off the field. This was just the second drive of the game. So Jacoby Brissett had to come in. He was okay, 24-40, 169, no touchdowns, threw a pick. Said Brian Flores, we have to regroup. We talk about kind of a next man up mentality. Jacoby had to go in the game. It's a team effort. The x-rays on Tua's ribs came back negative, further evaluated this week. But the loss was the second worst shutout loss for the Dolphins at home. In a game the Bills felt they had to have, Josh Allen quiet again, but 143 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. For the Dolphins, if you're Stephen Ross, this is an embarrassing loss. I mean, 35-0. And now, Mike, what everyone's going to say? Oh, now they're going to start burning up the phone to get Deshaun Watson.
Well, I mean, Tua's in the game the little bit. He threw 4 passes. He was sacked twice on 4 passes. I mean, and he got hurt. He got hurt. I mean, the Bills' defensive line, this Miami offensive line is horrible, and they're fortunate that they beat New England. They were not impressive. I thought they would play much better at home. I picked them on my pick on Twitter to win. Because I thought, the home dog, I thought it'd be a 3-point game. Did I think they would win? Maybe not, but I thought that would be a field goal type game and you get 3.5. But they played horrible. I mean, Buffalo did whatever they wanted to do. And I give Brian Daboll credit. Buffalo ran the football. They kind of made some big plays in the running game. They took the ball and Josh Allen didn't have a sensational, typical Josh Allen day. He's 17 for 33 for $170. That's not going to lose the game. But when you turn the ball over as much as Miami did, and you make mistakes and you can't protect, and you can't, you can't really play good enough in the red zone. I mean, here's a perfect example. Buffalo doesn't get a lot of yards. They have 314 for the game. They're 4 for 4 in the red zone. At the end of the day, it comes down to what you do in the red zone. I think we learned that with Kansas City yesterday. We learned it with all these teams.
Bad loss for Miami. There's no question about that. But it is only one loss for the Bills, a game that they had to have after they didn't look that great in week 1. Josh Allen so far a little underwhelming out of the gate. Meantime, the Browns and the Texans, a strong outing by Baker Mayfield after he suffered an injury early in the game. Second quarter, threw a pick, and while making the tackle, popped his shoulder out of socket. Returned right after, though, so he is tough. Completed his next 10 passes, threw a touchdown pass, ran for another. Said Myles Garrett, he's like Brett Favre 2.0. He just lets stuff roll off his back. He doesn't let the last play affect him, good or bad, just rolls to the punches. For the Texans, Tyrod Taylor looked very good to start the game, left just before halftime after injuring his hamstring. Good stuff here from the Browns, because at one point, Mike, watching Red Zone, I go, are they really going to lose at home to the Texans? But I give credit to the Cleveland. They were able to right the ship. Mayfield only had 2 incompletions out of 21 pass attempts.
I mean, how about Nick Chubb? He's got 11 carries for 95 yards in the game. The guy's amazing, right? And look, Baker only throws 2 incomplete passes, as you said. He didn't make any really big plays down the field as long as pass was 33. I thought they were efficient. They did exactly what you have to do when you're playing against a team that you can beat. You don't make a mistake. You let them make mistakes. You don't have penalties. You cut down on that. You let them lose the game. You control the ball 35 minutes. I mean, it's the perfect game. And Baker's a tough kid. I mean, look, I thought he separated his shoulder on the tackle. I thought he was out. I really did. I thought he was gone. Came back and made the plays he had to make in the game, and the Browns proved that they're a good team. They didn't cover the spread. They proved they're a good team, and they go on for another day. Look, I think just looking at the North in 2 games, I think the Browns might be the best team. I mean, look, the Ravens are going to be better. I don't know how good they are on defense, because I think their corner situation is problematic. And Pittsburgh, to me, we haven't talked about him yet, but I thought Big Ben looked like he was all of 50 yesterday.
I like the Ravens right now, but I hear you about Cleveland. They do have a good defense, and Baker did show me something, especially with that toughness. Hasn't made huge plays, 40 of 49 his first 2 games. A quick thought on the Texans. Again, Tyrod Taylor, if he's out for extended time, what happens to Sean Watson? The NFL still hasn't taken a stance yet. Any idea what's going to happen there? Are we still just waiting for them to, due process, investigate this further?
Yeah, I mean, look, Nick's going to get, I would suspect that Houston's going to get offers. I mean, as we get closer, he's got his car parked in the garage. He's not driving it, but I don't know how anybody can trade for him until they know what to do. What's going to be the ruling? This is a part of this is, the process of the system, and, they don't want to put him on the field, and then he's out there, and then people say, well, he's out there, and, and then he gets, and then the civil suits come in the other way, and all of a sudden, how could you play him when he was, I think they're doing the right thing. But you got to believe somebody's going to be calling, and I certainly suspect Miami's going to be calling, because I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the national media says. I don't care, what any of these quarterback gurus say. Miami knows they need a quarterback. They know it.
The secret's out at this point, and like you said, the stories were that Stephen Ross, the owner, was pushing to get him anyway. So I'm sure that will only intensify, especially after Tua's performance and his subsequent injury. Coming up, 2 rookie quarterbacks facing off against each other. One had one of the worst starts to a game in NFL history. Plus the weekly awards next.
Big news in shoes. Rothy's is now selling men's sneakers. I got a pair, and let me tell you, they are fantastic. They look good, they feel good, and they fit perfectly. And they also have men's driving loafers. Who doesn't need a pair of driving loafers? Seriously, AD. You've probably heard your wife, sister, mom, daughter, or friends talk about their love of Rothy's women's shoes. Well, now they brought their sustainable materials, washable design, and innovative craftsmanship to men's shoes.
I just love the concept, Mike, of driving loafers. Just feels so old school. So I told my wife, Eamon, listen, our producer, Rich Cook's hooking us up. We get a free pair of women's shoes. Great. We go online, we order the shoes. She put them on. Her face lit up. She goes, oh my God, I've never had more comfortable shoes in my life. Absolutely loves them. They look sharp and they're so comfortable. Honestly, I'm like husband of the year now. So looking good and feeling great just got easier thanks to Rothy's innovative approach to shoe design. You mentioned you got the men's sneakers, the women's shoes. They're all great. It's the unbeatable comfort, the fact that you can wash them. Think about that. You can wash your shoes. These shoes check every box.
If you hate your favorite white sneakers, which we all do, or your light colored shoes that get dirty, Rothy's men's shoes are for you. Their innovative washable construction means your shoes look like new with every wash. Plus, everything Rothy's makes is better for the planet. No wonder Rothy's best-selling men's shoes, the driving loafer in navy, gets 5-star reviews from almost every customer.
And honestly, to help you welcome the fall season in style, Rothy's is doing something special. That's right. They gave us the chance to share the super rare opportunity with our listeners for a limited time. Right now, you can get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/thegmshuffle. That's Rothy's, ROTHYS.com/thegmshuffle. Head to rothys.com/thegmshuffle to find your new favorites today.
This episode is brought to you by Verizon. The experts have spoken. Verizon has been named America's most reliable network by RootMetrics, proving there's only one best network. Best and most reliable based on rankings from the RootMetrics U.S. Root Score Report, dated first half 2021. Your results may vary.
Patriots and the Jets. Yikes, if you're a Jets fan. Zach Wilson was picked off in his first 2 pass attempts. All right, that happens. But that's 4 interceptions in his first 10 attempts. Like 40% of the time, this guy's getting picked off. In the third quarter, he had as many completions as he did interceptions. He's the first player since at least 1991. We're talking 30 years, when JFK came out back in 91, to throw picks on his first 2 pass attempts in a game. A quarterback rating at 8.6. I don't mean to just crush one guy, Mike. I know the Jets are a bad team. I know he's a rookie quarterback. But Jets head coach Robert Saleh said he was off a bit. It's okay to play a boring game of football. He's an electric dude, but sometimes it's okay to be boring. You can't get much worse than this. This was awful from Zach Wilson.
You know, I really watched that game closely, and I watched the tape this morning before I came in. And I got to say this to you, AD. I don't think the Jets are really a well-coached. I don't want to pick on the LaFleur family, but Matt LaFleur's brother, Mike's the offensive coordinator. I don't see it. They don't dress Denzel Mims for some reason. He was a healthy scratch. I mean, he's a guy that can vertically challenge on the outside. They don't dress Jamison Crowder. I mean, I listened to Salai's press conference about why he didn't play him, and, it's just a bunch of rhetoric. But, of course, naturally, like most subcontractors, he says, with the assistants coaches, look, when you go with what the assistant coaches want and you're the head coach, then basically you're not a head coach, you're a manager. Like, you got to walk into the room and say, this is what I want, and for a team, I see a team, the Jets, that Joe Douglas, everybody loves Joe Douglas, great general manager. Well, there's difference between being a great scout and being a great general manager, and you got to put the pieces together. I mean, the Jets run the ball with these running backs, with Michael Carter and Johnson and Coleman. They had 31 rushing attempts for 152 yards. They're behind 20. They were behind in the game, most of the game. And I think that Wilson's inability to get protection, they had no juice on the outside. I mean, Mims can run. I think the Jets are poorly coached on offense. I really do. I thought in week 1 it was bad. I think in week 2 it's even worse. I think anytime they're going to go against a good coordinator, I think Zach Wilson's going to get – this week they got Denver. Fangio's going to make it worse than Belichick did. I mean, just look what he did with Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville. It's just hard. And the Jets, they play hard, they play fast on defense. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this shouldn't even have been a close game. I mean, Mac Jones has got Smith, the tight end, coming across on a really well-designed executing play on 3rd and 14. If Smith catches that, he's in the end zone, and it's Katie by the door. But, he drops it, and the game's a little closer than it should be. But this is a game that was never in doubt. And then you watch Sam Darnold play really down there. Did they get better? We're going to find this out. Did they get better, or could they have managed Darnold? I think that's the question Jet fans have to answer. Had they kept Darnold, would you have gotten better? I like Zach Wilson. He's going to get better. There's no doubt. But the 2 rookie quarterbacks on that field yesterday, Mac Jones was a better player.
Yeah, both top draft picks at quarterback, and Mac Jones looks solid again. You can see why New England feels excited about what they have there. 22 of 30 for 186, and as you said, it could have been a touchdown. Falcons and the Buccaneers. Well, Tom Brady, add the accolades. He now has 35 career games with 4 or more touchdown passes, tying him for second all-time with Peyton Manning. Drew Brees tops the list with 37. Like, you don't often think of electrifying with Brady. You think of, obviously, clutch and the ultimate winner and steady and smart. But, the numbers are just eye-popping. They put up 48. Now, I know the Falcons' defense sucks. The Eagles crushed the Falcons' defense in week 1. Let's be clear. But the Bucs put up 48. Brady goes 24 of 36 for 276 and 5 touchdowns, 79 points in their first 2 games. We're looking at a potential juggernaut here with the Bucs offense.
I mean, it's really good. I thought Fournette was really good. Fournette made a couple plays in the passing game that were outstanding. I mean, Bruce Arians wasn't happy at all after the game. I mean, his quotes and comments, I mean, they were not good on 3rd down, and defensively, really the game got away from them in the 4th quarter. Atlanta controlled the football most of the game. They just turned the ball over and they gave up points. They gave up 20 points in the 4th quarter. If you took Atlanta and the third 12 and a half that was coming out, you're feeling pretty good going in the 4th, but you get outscored 20-0 in the 4th and you lose the game. This would be a great game this week. Tampa's got to go on the road. Tampa's defense is much like Kansas City. They're showing some problems. And a lot of it is in the back end of their defense. If they can't get pressure, if they can't dominate up front, you can attack their secondary. You can attack their coverages. You can attack it like most all teams. I mean, that's really what it is. And right now, Tampa's not quite there. But the weapons that Brady has offensively, whether it's Gronk, whether it's Antonio Brown, are pretty impressive. I mean, they're a nightmare for most teams. It's going to be a challenging game to handle it. I mean, Mike Evans led the team in receptions yesterday, but all of them. Antonio Brown only had 1 catch, and he was good in week 1. I think he had 100 yards in catching. So Brady's got the weapons he wants, and he's so good at the line. Look, let's make no mistake about this. This is Brady's offense. He's running it. You see all the New England plays are all full force, which are the Brady plays that he likes to run. And it was pretty impressive.
Also impressive, when you look at 2-0 teams right now, 49ers, okay, they win ugly against the Eagles 17-11. They're coming off of obviously a tough season ago, hurt by injuries. But if I said you a 2-0 team, I know it's only 2 wins, but the Raiders are now 2-0. They beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh, 26-17. You alluded to Pittsburgh earlier in the fact that you got some concerns there. Carr again, strong, 28-37, 382 for 2 touchdowns. Saw him throwing the deep ball. Gruden said, I've been singing Derek Carr's praises for a long time now. I hope now he gets the recognition he deserves. The surprise 2-0 team to start, I'll go with the Raiders after they rough up the Steelers on the road.
I mean, they dominated this game, and they controlled it from start to finish. They were the better team on the day, and they were impressive. I mean, look, Carr, when Carr can sit back there and make the throws, and it's a 7-on-7 game, he's good. He's got 382 yards. He hits Ruggs on a big 61-yard touchdown pass. And he kind of did to the Steelers what we thought Josh Allen would do, which is attack him down the field, take advantage. TJ Watt gets hurt in the game. I think that really affected them. The Steelers offensively, they're nowhere near where they need to be. They're nowhere near. They were not good week 1. I don't think they were much better in week 2. Big Ben doesn't move very well. And I mean, it's really hard to really get him down there. His biggest play of the game, he throws it 52 yards up the field to Claypool. But other than that, I mean, it's hard for them to get it down the field, and then converting third downs become problematic for them. So especially in the second half, I just think, to me, they have too many plays where, they start the game off, they give up, they start the game, they go 6 and out, then they come back and they hold, and they're playing good defense, right? They're holding the Raiders to a field goal, and then right before the half, they give up a touchdown, I think, 4 minutes to go, and then they got to punt it back to them. So, I mean, for me, I think the Raiders are a really good story. I think they've been able to play really well. And Carr, when you protect them, it's great. Now, this week, they got Miami. They should beat Miami. They should have another. They should be 3-0.
And one quick thought here on the 49ers, just because I mentioned the fact they did win. But how about the fact they lost 3 more running backs? Elijah Mitchell, JaMychal Hasty, Trey Sermon. Ugly game against Philadelphia, but I do worry about the 49ers, just their health concerns. But I do think it's important, Mike, when you can win ugly like that on the road. Nice win there. But I do think after a while, the fact you're losing all these running backs, that's going to catch up to you.
Well, I definitely think it will. But, I mean, look, they did exactly what they had to do. They had 38 rushing attempts against Philadelphia, and Garoppolo was really good. All those people that say Garoppolo, you should put Trey Lance in the game. Trey Lance didn't even participate. I don't think he played in the game. Nope, didn't even play. They cut that out. They stopped that. Philly had 12 completions in the game. You're not going to win any football. I mean, high school teams have more than 12 completions. And they had chances to make some plays, and kid steps out of bounds. They couldn't catch the ball. 4th and 3 at the goal line. Here's another one. Beautiful. Analytics. Okay, we got to go for it. They go for it, right? They don't get it. And the 49ers take the ball and go 90 yards down the field and score to go in at halftime with the lead. I mean, that's what happens to you. You're up 3-0. Take the points. You're up 6-0. Kickoff. But the Niners take the ball and go down. Now they go into halftime up 7-0. They outscore them 10 to 8 in the fourth quarter. Look, until Hurts is their leading rusher, AD, until Hurts is their leading passer, that's going to be a real problem. That is going to be a real problem. He had a long pass of 90 yards in one of his completions. His other 11 completions were basically, were for 100 yards.
Right, you got to be able to see whether or not he's a drop back passer.
Right, you got to see that. And look, when you take the other ones, that's not going to be good enough. You got to be able to make some plays, and he's got to make them from the pocket. And when he's your leading rusher, that means he's not throwing the ball from the pocket.
I know you're mentioning Carolina, how good they looked. Darnold throws for 300 yards. Obviously, McCaffrey's presence has been key for him. He's using more play-action bootlegs. But I did want to thought on New Orleans. You and I were singing their praises a week ago because of the fact they shocked the Packers and looked incredible. Winston threw 5 touchdown passes, but then he goes back to infamous Jameis rather than famous Jameis. 111 yards passing, intercepted twice, sacked 4 times. The Saints limited to 128 yards on offense. That's their fewest ever under coach Sean Payton. The defense had Alvin Kamara to 5 yards on 8 carries. Now, this does go back to what we said. The Saints are going to have problems with 8 assistant coaches missing. But a little shocked just how bad the Saints look like the Aints.
I think that this Denver defense, this Carolina defensive front's really good. They're really good. They get after it. They play. They take the line of scrimmage. They're physical. They're not making mistakes offensively. They've got good skill players. They did a good job of protecting. Their offensive line isn't great. They've done a good job protecting their offensive line. They've allowed Sam Darnold to play from in front. This is another week they go in at halftime 17-0. So they're playing from in front. They're doing a nice job. And this is one of those games. Look, the Saints, they haven't been home in a month. They were due for a clunker. Now they've got to go up to New England. They'll play better in New England this week. This is just one game. I think this was a kind of expected. This was a Panthers with Matt Rule. They needed to show that, hey, We're going to take the Mother May I step up. We need to be able to compete with these guys if we're going to win the South. And they did. They did a great job. And Darnold looks like there's everything they need to get from the quarterback position. They're getting it from Darnold. I mean, they really are. He played well. He played under control. He made throws. He made a throw to DJ Moore. It was an incompletion. He put it right on DJ Moore on 3rd and 12. It was as good a throw as I've ever seen, and he's taken the profits. He only had 12 incompletions in the game. I thought he was sensational. He really was. And look, the Saints, they had so many guys missing. I think ultimately it caught up to them and coaches.
Yeah, those 8 coaches is a lot. Panthers 2-0, first time since 2017, the most recent time they reached the playoffs. They've started 2-0 7 times in franchise history, and they've reached the playoffs in 6 of those seasons. So good signs, certainly for them there. All right, let's do some awards right now. Who's going on the lam after week 2?
I think there's 2 teams. I think the Chiefs defense and the Bucs defense have to be concerned about where they are right now. I think they're certainly lamb worthy. There's no doubt. But I got to think, to me, the way the games have gone the first 2 weeks, I think the Carson Wentz injury has got to make Indianapolis worry about whether he should go on the lam or not. I mean, because it's problematic. I mean, he can't stay healthy, durability, and then when he's out there, what is his strength? What is he doing? What is his decision making? I think that's ultimately a problem. I mean, we could say every week that Jacksonville and the Jets should go on the lam, but that's not going to do us any good. Jacksonville offensively is bad. I mean, this whole Jacksonville